build it, you demolish it. The legendary Homewrecker Burrito. Come build yours today with 20+ fresh ingredients.
First online order, 10% off. Promo code ONLINE.
Hi everyone, welcome to PackTV. I'm Hailey Parker, and today we are bringing you a new episode of Over the Boards with head coach of the Ice Pack, Tim Healy. So let's welcome him on. While we're waiting, Over the Boards is brought to you by Moe's Southwest. So if you want to give them a call 919-278-8732. And if you want to visit their website, go to 919.catering.moes.com. Hey, Coach, how are you?
Hey, Hailey, I'm doing well, thanks. It's great to have a first coaches show going over there. It's been a long time.
I know. I was just about to say it's kind of different because we've got new coach, new host. So it's the first one for both of us, but I'm very excited.
So am I.
Okay, so we will
just wish
jump
we had
right
some
in.
chips and queso in front of us in the store.
So we will jump right in because we have a lot to talk about. So first I wanted to talk about games that were able to be played in the fall semester because, you know, with COVID, things got kind of pushed back a little bit. So now the games are played in the spring. So you guys got to play the D1 and D2 Liberty team in this fall. So what was important to you as a coach about getting those two games in, like kind of preseason, like before you know, the players got to really even practice and get like a full schedule in the spring?
Yeah, I mean, I think the important part was, and if you look at our record from the fall, we certainly had great competition, Liberty D1 and both two games of Liberty D2. You know, it might seem like there were a lot of returners, but there was a lot of new, right? There was a lot of new within the program, new coach, new defensive coach. So it enabled us to get out and really work those kinks out against some really good competition and find our identity before we got into what's really a sprint of second semester here. So when we came back for second semester, those games in the fall enabled us to, we know our systems, we knew our strengths, we know our weaknesses, we knew where we could challenge certain players. So it really enabled us to have the second semester we're having. Without those games in the fall, I don't think we've had the success we've had in the second semester. And against some of the toughest competition the school's ever played.
Right. I remember I talked to you right after, I think it was after the D2 Liberty game, and you talked a lot about the team finding their identity. So it's kind of nice that, you know, they had that time to play that game and sort of like figure that out before they jumped right into like a full schedule in the spring. So next, now that the season has started, you've gotten in 6 games, really good games, and the team's been really able to demonstrate, you know, what they learned in this fall. So something that was very impressive about the first 3 games was that you guys played Dallas Baptist University, and there was a total of 26 goals scored just in those 3 games. So just to note a few, Parker Zarek had 5, Riley Johnson, he also had 4 goals, and Chris Solomon had 5 goals. So what did you see from your offense during these 3 games that really stood out to you the most?
Well, I think the first part is, you know, you hit on Riley, Parker, and Solo. I'm biased, but I think they're probably the best line in ACHA division. They even just proved that down here this past week. And they can score in different ways. They can score in the power play. They can score with speed and skill. They can up a more forward check. So that line is sensational. But you know, we also saw scoring in other places. One of the things we've really tried to do this year is activate our D, getting our D to jump up into play and fill lanes. Guys like Ian O'Rourke have a great shot. You know, Cam Mazakowski, who people think of just as a bulldozer, he actually has pretty good mitts, better than most people realize. So getting the deactivated was the key. Um, Getting everyone just comfortable, confident. I think those 3 games were also a key for the second semester because we had a long layoff. Um, we had beaten Coastal, but those 3 games got our confidence going. There are 3 games in quick succession, so they helped with our endurance. And remember, when you get into things like nationals, you play 3, 4, 5 games in a row, so
Right.
it gave us a little bit of that feel too.
Yeah, you guys definitely started off on a strong note, I will say. I mean, I was very impressed when I saw that stat, so I think that was a really good start to the spring season. So next up, you guys played number 3 Liberty, and it was one of the biggest wins the Ice Pack has seen. Great game. And also considering how dominant Liberty has been. So it was really competitive. The second period ended with a tie of 2-2, so it was really down to the third period to see what the Ice Pack could bring back so that they could have a strong offensive third period. So can you talk a little about the strength of the top line with Zarek, Johnson, and Solomon that you kind of just mentioned, and how important they were to this win specifically?
Well, they really took the game over in the third period. I mean, you got to give a lot of credit again to our D core. Colby Peterson also getting some matchups. They have a great top line and with a guy by the name of Flanders and did the matching with Eric Top, Colby Peterson, and Robinson. So, yeah, we talked a lot about Riley Johnson and that crew, but that was a great team effort. That was a gritty effort. Highlight that wasn't on there is Drew, guys like Drew Breshingham laying out and blocking shots. So yes, the first line, obviously they did a great job putting goals on the board, but that third period of, I mean, that was just such a great gritty third period. Everyone doing their job, committing to their job, selling out, and we knew we could. And we knew we could beat Liberty. We knew that we didn't put our best foot forward in the fall. We were still trying to figure a lot out. Our goalies in the fall weren't where they are now. Our goaltenders are much more dialed in. Rosetto's done a great job getting ready for them for the second semester. So, yeah, that was a fun game. And sure, yeah, technically it wasn't our first home game at WCC. The Dallas Baptist games were. That was our first real big game in WCC, and that was the first time Liberty, since this rivalry has kind of gotten off the ground over the last 3 years, has come down to Raleigh. So that was big to have them in our own building for the first time during this run and get a win there.
I was also going to ask about what the defense did so well because Liberty has a really strong offense. So like you said, it was a team effort, but did you see anything special about the defense during this game that really limited Liberty from, getting a lot of points on the board?
I think there are 2 things. I think one is the gap control with our D was really good in this zone. And they have some really good forwards who, if you give them a little bit of a step, they're going to be gone. So, one, they really did a good job of the gap control. And I'm actually going to give you 3 things. 2, a great job of making sure Liberty was 1 and done. So, one shot, boom, broken out, going the other way. And then we went into a trap at times with them. So, for viewers that might not know what the trap is, it's almost a little bit of a soccer style where you're getting, soccer where they talk about 10 men behind the ball. This is more channeling into one side, getting 4 or 5 players behind the puck and forcing them to where you want to go. And they ran that really well at times too. It makes it tough for speedy players to find. So those are really probably the 3 key defensive things from that game. And Griffin Hunt played outstanding in goal. Rebound control was terrific.
Absolutely. So moving on to 2 weekends ago, you guys played number 8 East Texas Baptist University, and you guys left with a win of 12-1. So obviously another really great, strong game. So what I was going to ask was what kind of value you saw behind these types of games, where you're leading by such a large margin, and the team's working so well together. Do you see these types of games as opportunities for the newer and younger players to get in the game and make plays as well?
That's exactly it. You look at like Jackson Cowan getting his first career goal, and what they see is, when a guy like Jackson scores, he sees on the bench how excited everyone else is for him scoring, as excited as he is when guys like Colby or the other guys score. So that was a big thing there. It gets everyone involved in it. Again, it doesn't hurt for confidence. And the other thing too, we got 2 goalies into that game too. So we're not playing we've only played, what are we, 12 games at this point in February. Normally our season's winding down. So we have 3 quality boys minutes in that game. You're also seeing a highlight now from Arena and Miller and some of those guys who are getting some of the other line scoring. Because, to be honest, our scoring up and down the lines hadn't been that balanced coming into that game. And that was a game where we really got a much more balanced scoring attack, which was great. It fueled confidence going forward.
Absolutely. So here I just wanted to talk about you guys, the ranking of the Ice Pack. So 2 weeks ago, the Ice Pack was ranked number 5 in the ACHA D2 division, and there's familiar teams like Liberty ranked number 3. What does this mean for you guys going forward in the season? Does it bring about new motivation? Is it something that means a lot to you, or is it just kind of like the same old for the Ice Pack?
Yes and no. I mean, same old in that we go out and win and compete in every game. So that doesn't change. I think for where it is a little bit different is normally this time of year we're talking about ACCHL playoffs, ACCHL regular season standings, stuff like that. This year it's more of a national thing. If you don't think about it as the ACHA one national league this year, so it gives us, obviously looking at your teams. You're also talking to coaches, making different contacts that are going to come in handy down the line when it comes time scheduling. But it definitely gives them something to play for, makes it more tangible. When you think about a national tournament, sure, you want to get there. But if you get that number 1 seed, or, last time we went, we were a number 4 seed, which meant we played our pool's number 1 seed that very first game. So, yes, we're in February. Yes, but we only have maybe 4 or 5 regular season games to go. So every game is almost like a playoff game to start to think about that being, especially with University of Mary hosting it. If you're in that top 4 line, one of the top 4 seeds, like think about basketball in the NCAA tournament, you get a number 1 seed. You want to be one of the 4-1 seeds. You don't want Mary in their home rink in your play. I mean, you're going to have to go through them eventually, but you don't want to play them in your first game there. So yeah, I mean, the rankings matter in that you're starting to get adjusted to A, playoff hockey, B, trying to set yourself up for success. When you get to nationals, should you be lucky enough to get to nationals, which right now, obviously, we're in a good position for it.
I was going to ask, is it too early to kind of look ahead at nationals and start mentally preparing for that, or do you not want to get the guys too excited just yet?
No, I think after this past weekend and getting the win down at Gulf Coast, at this point, there aren't that many games left, right? So, there's really 2 schools of thought as a coach. You could pretend it's not a thing and go about your business game by game, and there's certainly that. Or be intellectually honest with your team, yourself, and that's what you're playing for. That's what you put yourself in position for. So talk about, talking with your team about, this is going to be like this. Thinking about finding your identity, thinking about systems that you want to play and use and get those things ready for. I mean, you don't want to be too fixated on it, but if there's things you can draw, like road trips, playing 3 games, like Dallas Baptist, those things there's things that you can do now that will help prepare you for when you get there. Oh, absolutely, go and do it. Don't do it at the sake of the contest that you have there. Obviously, that comes first and foremost. But if you can bring other things into that game that can help prepare you later on, absolutely have to.
Absolutely, and I know that that's something that the Ice Pack are definitely looking forward to. So right now we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back to talk more about the Ice Pack and their season so far.
Welcome to the
Oof.
We build it, you demolish it. The legendary Home Wrecker Burrito. Come build yours today with 20+ fresh ingredients.
First online order, 10% off. Promo code ONLINE.
And we're back here on PackTV with another episode of Over the Boards. I'm Hailey Parker, and we are here with Coach Tim Healy of the Ice Pack. So I think what I wanted to bring up that I was most excited about was y'all's most recent game this past weekend against Florida Gulf Coast, where you had 2 back-to-back games. So you played Saturday and Friday night. The first game ended at a loss of 5-1, but the Ice Pack fought the way through and won the second game 2-1. So I understand that you have a very interesting untold story about this weekend that you would like to share.
Well, it's certainly not about Friday night's game in the 5-1 loss. So, but credit to Florida Gulf Coast, and that one thing came out more. We thought we were prepared, and I think by and large we were. Florida Gulf Coast let's just set the stage here. They're the 2-time defending ACHA champions. We're down in their building, a notoriously tough place to play. They're hungry. They were coming off a tough weekend against Lindenwood. And, one thing that I hadn't really necessarily factored in, and we've only played 2 places this year. We've played at home and we've played at Liberty. And Liberty is a very cool place for us because we've had some success there. Not only that, Liberty, the arena, the building, everything about it is first class. Even in the COVID pandemic, everything is clean there to a T. It's just who would want it to be. WCC, to me, Wake Competition Center, sets the bar of how a rink should be run during a pandemic. There aren't many rinks, I would say this, you could eat off the floor at WCC. I wouldn't recommend it. So that's just kind of setting the stage for it. So we get down there, and I'm not sure. We've all heard the stories about Florida and COVID. I generally don't think Southwest Florida knows that COVID. You walk into the rink, it's just been a fairly different atmosphere than what we have here, whether it be in terms of masking. When we get there, you got the public just going by our locker room. And these aren't excuses, but just definitely threw off our guys. And we should have been more prepared for it. And Florida Gulf Coast, it came out great. They free on us really quickly. So credit to them. They were more ready at the drop of the puck than we were. We talked a lot about putting that one behind us, getting back to, what we can do fun. Maybe most don't have fun, blocking shots, working hard. So feeling good going into the next day. And, a lot of people will see a 2-1 win. And if you see stuff at the end of the game with the way we were celebrating, probably may be much more than just winning a regular season game, because it was. We had it. So didn't want them to sit in the hotel room all day. I reached out to one of my friends who was the former associate head of the minor league down there, said, hey, where could be a good place to take these guys so they're not dwelling on it all day in their hotel room. That is also COVID safe. He had mentioned here in Naples, which, supposedly takes COVID. There's much more strict than other areas. So go down to meet the bus. As we're heading onto the bus, someone said, hey, my room key is not working. They go to the desk. Well, the hotel had checked us out of the hotel. They said your reservation was only through Saturday morning. For the contract, that it was definitely through Sunday morning. Said, okay, just extend our reservation. They said, we can't, we're full tonight. The guys are like, all right, well, there's enough hotels around. I said, well, President's Weekend, it's Valentine's Eve night. There aren't going to be any rooms around. So now we have no hotel rooms. It's 11 o'clock. We're supposed to get on the bus to do, something a little bit fun. We're about there a half hour getting that straightened out. Are we going to just get on the bus and drive home after the game? That was an option. But fortunately, it got worked out. So then we get on the bus. We're about 3/4 of a mile from the pier and the beach. Bus breaks down. So now we're in a parking lot at a mall. It's 85 degrees. A lot of our hockey players are definitely on the more pale side. They said, we'll stay with the bus while it gets fixed. They said, we're close enough to walk to the beach. The fellas, Florida's sun is unbeaten. They lived in Florida for 3 years. Had a lot of people that come and visit me. They left us lobster. Don't take your shirts off. Wear sunscreen. When they got down by the beach, it out themselves. Tarps off as they were playing soccer on the beach. They get back to the hotel. I mean, Eric Todd was as red as your jacket. It was, great school spirit there. Making sure they're all red. Now half the team just burned. Then we are. So all right. So the bus is fixed. So that's good. As the bus is coming back in from getting gas, ready to get to the game. Bus flips the car. So equipment manager, and I didn't know this. Our equipment manager, Jess Stark, called and said, "Tim, are you down at the bus yet?" I go, "No." He goes, "Well, the bus flipped the car, and at least one person's not too happy about it. So get down there." Wasn't that bad, but still. So, but it was enough where you probably want, a cop to come and get a report on it. The guy was awesome. Cuban, and I say this, you've been down there, kind of the Cuban Florida accent, it's a little bit different. So, he's kind of, animate, not in a bad. It was like, "Oh, you guys got to get to a game." I'm not going to do the accent. I don't want to insult anyone. So he's like, "Here's what we'll do. I'll get on your bus and go with you to the game." So the bus definitely comes back to the hotel while you're at your game and gets worked out. So tell the team what's going on. Of course, they have to have their earphones on. So now we're riding to the game with this very nice Cuban American who finally goes, "So what sport are you guys anyway?" I go, "I'm filling out when you're in because South Florida, the Panthers don't all that many people." That hockey. Goes, "Oh, I love hockey. I'm on the bus with a hockey team. This is awesome." And I said, "Well, you better be careful. If we win tonight, you're gonna have to go on every bus trip with us." He goes, "I'm in. Just don't have to go." So anyway, so now we get there, we get off the bus, and some of the guys start walking down the aisle. And they're like, they see this guy in the bus for the first time that they hadn't noticed. So now, leading up, we've now had we've been evicted from our hotel. We've had our bus breakdown. Half the team is sunburned, and we clipped the car with a random passenger. Not the exact pregame that you. But fortunately, the puck dropped and complete opposite of the night before. I think all that, it was kind of, we were loose, ready to go. Chris Solomon gets an early breakaway and a nice pass from Garrett Arini, and we're off and running. We're up 1-0. We're able to really then get into our game plan because we weren't chasing the game. And it, just so proud of the team. They battled all night. Great gutty victory. And it just contribution to everybody, our fourth line, which didn't play a ton, but over the 2 nights, huge contribution. Both, Eric Cannon was really good on Friday night. Griffin Hunt, spectacular on Sunday night, rather Saturday night. Just 1 goal, great rebound control. And so when the game ends and you get back to the locker room, it's like, we just recount what happened here today, go through all that, and then knock off the 2-time defending champs in their building with. Again, the red jerseys were both on the skin and over the pads. It was it created for a pretty special. It was a special moment when we got back there with them. It was awesome. And you talk about building on it, and Hailey, you talk about stuff now that talking for nationals. That's the type of resiliency you can draw from, right? Like there are 1,000 different ways they could have packed in that game after all that day and made excuses. But they played more determined. And if you go and watch, especially the end of that game and the close of it, just the determination and grit to bring that game home.
Well, maybe all they needed was a nice sunburn to get that win on Saturday. That's what they've been missing.
Well, it's going to be tough because we're home the rest of the way in North Dakota. I don't know how many sunburns we'll get in either of those places.
So I just wanted to talk about the first game real quick because before you guys won a great game on Saturday, you did lose Friday. So what did you see on Friday that you kind of talked about with the team that they needed to work on in order to win on Saturday?
Well, first of all, this is a really experience. So a lot of what we talked about, they knew the answers to. When they got down, and we saw this a little bit too in the Liberty D2 games that we lost up there. Some of the body language. They were tight, and it just we not liking calls and how they reacted to that. No problems with officiating down there, but you're not going to call 13. It's just the reality of it. And so we talked a lot about not letting Friday night beat us twice. Getting back to our hockey, getting back to, we talk about our identity, relentless, aggressive, fast, getting back to the core of who we are and who we are. And then, even guys like Griffin Burke, who's a 1-year senior, who's a sports psychologist, wants to be a sports psychologist, sports psychology major, and him coming in, we said, all right, Griff, what are some sports psychology tips you have there? And letting him get into that a little bit. So we reset the team, really, even during that game, before the start of the third, and then after the game, resetting it, getting back to who we are, but still recognizing some positives. The fourth line was brilliant in that game with how aggressive they were. Eric Daniel was great. It wasn't all negative. It just, we recognize that we hit a couple posts, made a couple bad turnovers. There are 5-1 games where I'll give you an example. We lost to UMass Amherst by 5 when we went to nationals 2 years ago. Come off the ice and you're like, they're just better. I'm not sure we get there. Came off the ice that one, felt like we left a lot out there that could be better than that.
Yeah, perfect. So I wanted to go ahead and look ahead at this coming game that's coming up against Coastal Hockey Club. And you guys did get to play them in preseason, technically. So what do you expect out of Coastal's team that you think might be different from when you guys first played them in the fall?
Well, I mean, they're not unlike us, right? Like, they've got more games under their belt. They have a new coach, too, so adjusting to his systems. We've seen them play a couple times now. We saw them play when we went to Liberty a couple weeks ago. They're much improved. We know they have a great goalie. They play hard. They don't quit. Friday night they got shut by by FGCU's D3 team, but the next night they were up two goals. So they're going to be much improved. We know they're going to come out hard, but if we play our game, we should be fine.
Absolutely. So lastly, I just wanted to touch on like a little player moment. I want to talk about Riley Johnson and how important he is to the team and like how just efficient of a player he is. I mean, he's always putting points up on the board. So what do you see out of him in the future? Is he coming back? What do you have to say about Riley Johnson and how much he contributes to the front line of the Ice Pack?
Riley's a great example of what you want to talk about. You don't have to have a hair on your sweater to be a leader. When Riley speaks in the locker room, people listen. Before the Georgetown game last year and the Stephen Russell, he gave a pretty epic pregame talk. Even after the game on Friday night, his thoughts on it. So when Riley speaks, people listen. He's really determined. He's got himself in great shape. He's a real leader for us, and he sets the tone, and guys look up to him and listen to him. And at the same time, he's a blast to be around. He's just a great locker room guy, great on the ice. He's just a terrific part of the team, and he's pretty good at the mission.
I was going to have to mention that just because, how can you not when it comes to that? I remember when he did that during a Dallas Baptist game, and that blew up on the internet. So lastly, I just wanted to quickly mention the new weight competition center and how awesome it is that you guys, get to practice there, and that's where home games are played. So can you just briefly touch on what it means as a team to even have like your own locker room for pregame and postgame?
Yeah, and obviously, first of all, Iceplex is great. We went from 2017 to moving out of there, without a loss there. So obviously, Iceplex, and I'm not jinxing because we're not playing there anymore. So the Iceplex was great to us. Had a great locker room in there. Maybe not good. It was our locker, but it was ours. But moving to WBC, such a first-class facility. We can't wait to get fans in there. That place can get about 1,600. We're going to have 7 p.m. home games, so no 10 o'clock start. And then as far as the locker room facility itself, it's really 3 spaces in it. It's really probably the best facility, including our locker room stuff, in our region, with the exception of maybe Liberty. It's probably the best in the Southeast region, so it's really going to help attract players to us. Couldn't be happier with it. Couldn't be more proud of it.
As you should be. I've really enjoyed getting to come to games there. But fortunately, that is all the time that we have today. So thank you guys for joining Over the Boards. I'm host Hailey for PackTV, and we're here with head coach Tim Healy. So we're looking forward to seeing you guys next time on another episode. But until then, don't forget that we are sponsored by Moe's, and we will see you next time. Thank you.
Go Pack.
Welcome to the
build it, you demolish it. The legendary homewrecker burrito. Come build yours today with 20 plus fresh ingredients.
First online order, 10% off. Promo code ONLINE.